you're,
Yeah.
Peg. My name is Lorraine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Peggy.
Please go on the left.
Put it right here in my navel. I think it goes the other way. I don't know.
Right there. Would you like to look at the camera over there? Everybody is. We can do it around in the back side. Kristen has hers up. How's that? Wow. Now you want to face the camera and show how pretty you are?
How's this? Huh?
Perfect? She didn't get it on camera.
I wrote one letter to someone here.
Yeah. I know, I want to stay away from the camera.
Were you guys just posing? Yeah. That's what you said.
I already said what I was going to say.
A couple obstacles to do.
I hesitated first, it's like, I haven't found the guys. Yeah, it was Bob. Sometimes we were just coming back on a Sunday, Steve and I went for the weekend. How was your weekend now? Sounds like it was fun.
These older dogs. Is that right here? I always thought it'd be funny in practice.
My dad.
Eating a swordfish or something.
What are you doing? Ducking out so they can't get your picture?
Oh yeah.
I was there a half hour ago.
I believe everyone at the mill knows that Bob has been counting off his days left to work at Eddy.
You're kidding.
The other day I was speaking with Dale Norris. He told me the story of visiting Bob on his second day of work. And in Bob's office, there's a March calendar, 1961, with all these large numbers on all the days of the week. And Dale asks, Bob, what's this all about? Bob tells him, not counting sick days, holidays, vacations, I have 7,832 days to go. Briefly, the agenda for tonight is we'll have lunch, and after lunch we'll have introductions to the family. There'll be a few speeches, then there'll be several presentations, and then with luck we'll have a short speech from Bob. We'll now have the invocation by Jenny Engelgott. You can use it.
First,
Well, no.
first.
Say easy, Eddie,
Yeah, right. First, I'd like to say that I'm very happy to be here with everyone on this occasion for Bob. And second, I know that everyone that has worked with him in the past and now, he will be missed. Now I'm going to say, if we all bow our heads, we can say the invocation, please. Bless us, O Lord, in these thy gifts. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Okay, we're going to have dinner now. We'll start with Bob's table, and then Sue, you can follow. And it's my choice as to who goes next. Dick Wagner is late, or I would have said Dick's table would be next. So what we'll do is we'll just start over here and then just work around from this side and in the back over here. Obviously, Bob will finish first, and when he finishes with his dinner, we'd like for him to come up and cut this wonderful cake. Where'd it go? Oh, back here. And then, so after you finish your dinner, feel free to go up to the cake and get dessert. Okay? So we'll start with Bob's table. Enjoy your dinner.
Is sharp enough? Yeah, it's sharp.
I hope you didn't get that picture.
Look at all this frosting on there. That's the piece you want, Trevor? Yeah?
I did everything but answer the program.
Is that big enough?
Yeah, really big.
You have to give him the one with all the frosting on it, Bob.
Okay. Cut through this guy? Cut him in half? Which end do you want? Want me to cut it off? Gee, bet. Yeah, but it's cut like that, huh? Look at it, right up to the hole. I knew a guy on number 9 that did that one time. Look at that.
Yeah.
Right there.
Thanks for reminding me. Sure. How are you?
Not very straight, gals. Huh? You want some? You want to lick? Yes. Ah! There isn't anyone else. You want to do take it over?
I'll finish that.
Okay. Here. Here. What?
No!
You getting your fingers in it?
Oh, how, is it okay?
Is it good?
We don't want to serve anybody bad
Sure,
cake,
bring-
right? Your table? Trevor?
Well, offered a 3 more weeks.
With Bob tonight is the lovely Peggy Armstrong. Bob and Betty Andrews have been blessed with 2 sons, 2 gorgeous daughters, 6 grandchildren. Thank goodness for Bob's recessive genes. We have Bob's daughter, Sue Shirky, her husband, John, their children, Sarah and Kristen. We have Bob's son, Bob Jr., his wife, Kathy, and their sons, Taylor and Trevor. They've been very helpful tonight. Bob's daughter, Kathy Lee Sandner, husband Robert, and Kathy's sons, Brandon and Kyle. The youngest son, Tom Andrews, is not here. He's in Minnesota, is that right? And Tom says hi. Tom also surprised that Bob was able to make it today and wondering why he wasn't out hosing down the driveway or some sort of family joke. Bob's mother-in-law is also here, Vi Richmond. I've asked the family to come up and say something, and they're speechless tonight. Something about getting teary-eyed was the excuse, but don't believe it. They're speechless, all right, and I believe it's out of fear. Can you imagine Bob being family with the chance that he may call you up and ask to stay to visit for a month or two now that he's retired? We're going to get right into some words from friends. I believe Carol Wakeham is first on the list. Is she? What? Okay.
She's copying them off the wall in there.
Yeah. How about Ron Lejeune? There. This is Ron Lejeune.
I'd like to thank the organizing committee for the invitation to speak on Bob's retirement luncheon. I haven't known Bob very long, only about 6 years or so. I'm kind of the rookie in the office, but I feel very close to him probably because I've been shadowing him for the last 2 months. Bob's been a good trainer, and I really appreciate it. I think Bob is a little too young to retire. Because of this, I'd like to sort of return the favor of training by giving him a list of potential jobs that maybe he could look at. First off, maybe a mechanic, because Bob's been spending a lot of time at the mechanics lately, and it costs a lot of money, and I know with the retirement benefits that he was talking about, he could use another job. Second thing is probably a travel agent might be a good job. I get tired just thinking about Bob's last 2 months of travel. He's been to Chicago, Grand Rapids, Florida, Toronto, K-Pac about 3 or 4 times for his car, and the Cayman Islands. Another thing that Bob might want to try is being a doctor. It's never too late. As a matter of fact, Bob just bought himself a computer last week. He was pretty excited when he came to the office because he had this new software called the Family Doctor. And pretty darn impressed that he could do an appendectomy, lobotomies, and other minor surgeries. He has a lot of enthusiasm, and he was offering his services around the office, but there are no takers. And I've heard that Peggy's hidden all the knives in the house, and she's learned to sleep with one eye open. Another obvious job is probably a florist or a florist's helper. It's been known that Bob wears a little Cupid outfit around Valentine's Day and helps deliveries out to all of Peggy's customers. He puts a lot of smiles on people's faces with that little outfit that he wears. Since I've been at the office, I've seen countless flower arrangements coming into the office, and I see that Bob is selling arrangements during office hours also. Another job that Bob could have is a stand-up comic. Everybody who knows him knows there isn't a day that doesn't go by that Bob doesn't have a pun or he doesn't have a joke that he wants to share with everybody. He's even had an invitation to do stand-up at Yuck Yucks in Toronto, I think, last year. Based on rumors around Ottawa, I heard that he stole the show, so that could be a job for him. Last but not least is probably a teacher. Bob has a tendency to want to help with word pronunciations. He's been very, very particular about the schedule. He's been very patient. I keep saying schedule. Bob keeps telling me I better go back to shul because it's not schedule. I just want to thank Bob again for the last 2 months. He's been a great teacher and think I'm going to have to get a little therapy to adjust to walking by myself. Thanks, Bob, and much success to you. Thank you.
Carol return?
No.
Jack Petey?
Everybody thinks that we're here today to talk about Bob Andrews, but I don't know, with Bob, I don't want to tell you how many years we go back because that'll tell you how old I am. But we've known Bob for a long, long time. And I have to kind of set this scene a little bit for you because a lot of you folks aren't familiar with Black River Country Club. But I know Bob Andrews, and Joni knows Bob Andrews, and Joel Petey knows Bob Andrews by the name of Jack Nichols. And this will tell you something about his golf game. For those of you that know Black River, bear with me. Those of you that don't, Joe, you know Black River very well, is that the number 1 tee sits like right here. And it kind of heads out towards Black River and it bends a little bit. And sitting right up here is the clubhouse. And there's a dining room that's all glass. And obviously the bar looks over the number 1 tee. And so when you stand up there and you tee off, everybody that's in the clubhouse can see you. Well, we were fortunate enough at Black River at this time. We probably had about 5 or 6 what we'll call flat bellies that were 13, 14, and 15 years old. Number 1 green is probably, Joe, you correct me if I'm wrong, 275, 280? 375. Okay, 375. Yeah, he corrected me. Well, he knows. But the creek, the river that goes through it's about 225. Okay. So these flat bellies that were 13 and 14 and 15-year-olds, they stand up there and they're liable to drive that on the other side or they drive it within 5 yards. Well, then here comes this blonde-haired, he was blonde at that time, blonde-haired guy, and he'd step up to the tee, and everybody in the clubhouse say, Jack Nichols is on the tee. And so we look out, and here's Bob Andrews. He's on the tee. Well, now these young kids have just, you know, driven the creek, or they're right close to it, and Bob stands up there, and he kind of wiggles, you know how you do when you hit it? He's going to follow these young guys. Well, I want to tell you that, oh, and then the other thing is, as 18 comes up and it's elevated, it's off over here. Well, there were 1 of 3 places that Bob Andrews always hit the ball to. It was either up there on 18 fairway, or it was in the middle of Black River, or if he shanked the ball, we have this little green pump house. He was down there at the pump, that's 10 yards away. That was where Bob used to hit the ball. Well, everybody'd say, oh, that's good for Jack Nichols. Well, he did get better. He did get better over the years because he really did well at Fort Huron this last year. Now, you did well. But anyway, I thought that as he retires, and he's going to be playing more golf, that he really needed some help so that he didn't end up over on 18, he didn't end up in the river, or he didn't get down there at the pump house. So what we didn't spare any expense for this. This is very expensive because it's one of a kind. We went out and we had designed a golf tool that we think will help Bob Andrews when he sets up there and he gets his ball. It'll help him set up so that ball will go straight to the hole. So with that, I'd like, and it's the only one of its kind in the United States, and I'll be very honest with you, I had an engineer design this thing and build it for me. So Bob, would you come up here? I'd like to give you this. First off, there's a card. You card there? Yeah, it's.
Have to read the card.
Oh, you have to read the card.
Ronnie, could you come up and read the card for me? Boy, you're retiring. Okay.
Here, let me read it. I got glasses.
Okay.
When you get two old fellas like this up here, it says on here, it says, I can see now, taking that last solemn walk from your office, holding your head high, with the same dignity you've shown for all these years. And it kind of opens up. And it says, yeah, I'm out of here.
What do we got?
Well, be careful now. This is very, and we went to a lot of expense for this now. I don't want you to ruin it. Because this is going to make a difference in your golf game.
Did Chi-Chi have one of these?
Chi-Chi's got it. Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, we're going to patent this.
He had a
baby.
lot of other things too.
I know he did. But this really, Bob, this really ought to get you in the right direction, and so that your ball goes straight off of the tee.
Oh, swell, look at that. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Jack P. Was hoping that Marv Cranebrick would come up and tell us a little story, but he refused, so I'll have to tell the story for him. Marv and Phyllis Cranebrick went to a New Year's party with Bob and Betty many years ago. Everybody knows that Bob regards himself as Mr. GQ of Port Huron. For some reason, and that's the mystery, Bob got distracted and he ended up with plaid pants, going with the striped shirt and paisley tie. Now this was back in the 70s, so I mean you could get away with that today, but not so back in the 70s. Actually, he looked like Rodney Dangerfield on the golf course. So much for Mr. GQ, huh? Not as bad as some of yours. Okay, Carol. Is she ready?
Thought you could outweigh us, didn't you?
Yeah, I was hoping. Yeah, I sit in the office right outside of Bob, so I see Bob a lot, hear a lot. And, and just recently, somebody, I couldn't understand this, they gave him a calendar. It's one of those little, you tear the page off every day and he throws them over my wall at me. And it's one of those, you know you're a redneck if. And I'm thinking to myself, why would somebody give a calendar like this to Bob Andrews? You know, he's such a class act. You know, this guy even has a hat that matches his car. So a few weeks go by and Bob comes into my office one morning and I understand now why he got this calendar. He comes in and I've got this poster on the wall that says, "Say no to crack." Bob just comes up there and he pulls up his pants. Anyway, my daughter-in-law Wendy is an old friend of Bob's daughter Kathy. So I went over to Wendy's the other night and I said, I've got to do this roast. I've never done anything like this. I didn't know what I was going to say. And I said, you know, you got to help me out a little bit. Tell me some, you know, some good stuff. And Wendy thought about it for a while and she said, well, yeah, when Kathy told me that when Bob and Peggy first became roommates, that Peggy said, Bob, would you load the dishwasher? Bob got her drunk. Then another day, Bob gets home earlier than Peggy from work and he decides, well, I'm going to surprise her. I'm going to go to the door in the nude. Well, now he's being sued by FedEx. I haven't been around him as long as I have. I think he's done really well working for the mill as many years as he had. I overheard the other day, like I said, I'm really close to his office, and I hear him talking to one of his grandkids on the phone the other day, and heard him say that he was sending his Easter eggs out to Ted Turner this year to have them colorized.
Anyway, I got a fax that I got from one of the sales guys this Friday. I wanted to read to you. Got my glasses. It says, at Bob's age, getting a little action means that your prune juice is working. Good luck, Bob. Your friend, George Lindbergh. On that note, I want to say we'll miss you, and have a lot of luck, and have a good time, and I'm sure you will. Oh, and I still want that picture to remember you by for my wall. You know, the one with the Dental Floss bathing suit?
Thanks, Carol. And Ralph Stevens.
How come everybody tells me I have to be nice? Well, I tell you, it was hard working with Bob for 28 years. It was hard to really think of something that would be memorable. Not that he's not a memorable kind of guy, but I tried different ideas, like maybe the David Letterman top 10 list of the good things Bob's done. I couldn't come up with 10, so I had to throw that out. I do remember when, in our olden days, Bob, you remember I went on vacation and I came back. I had no desk in my office. See, I walk in my office, the desk is gone. Everything on the desk and the desk is gone. I said, gee, what happened to my desk? You know, I started to get worried. Maybe I didn't get my reports in on time. Then the first one I thought of was Bob, and sure enough, Bob had taken my desk out of my office and hidden it. So the next year, or the next time Bob went on vacation, it was my turn. So I got into Bob's desk, put his phone in his desk, got a tow chain from my dad's garage, I wrapped his desk up, the tow chain. As soon as he got in his office, I dialed him. Those were the good old days, weren't they, Bob? We don't do that kind of thing anymore. We don't have time.
Amen.
We've had a lot of laughs over the years, Bob and I. Except when he told his jokes, I never laughed at his jokes. I mean, he said, that's one thing I'm not going to miss, is those bad jokes that he said. Those redneck jokes. You know, I get, Carol's outside his office, I'm right next to him, and I get all the redneck jokes. Here, read this.
Remember the cigars?
Oh, I'll get to that. Yeah, the one redneck joke that kind of come to mind is where you can tell you're a redneck if you go to a funeral or you go to a wedding and everybody's on the same side of the room. Think about it. This is the kind of joke he tells all the time. I used to have black hair until I was The cigars he used to talk about, I used to smoke cigars, and Bob never complained once about it. Betty sent me the laundry bill, but Bob never complained. And so I had to cut a hole in the wall and stick a tube in so I could send the smoke directly into his office. Bob, we've worked a long time together. We've had some laughs and some tears, but it's been a joy being your friend. Have a good one.
Mike Mugen from corporate would like to make a presentation.
Where's Wendell Clark?
You can have the whole league team, Bob.
Bob, I guess Lionel caught me by surprise today when he told me that I was on the schedule, and I say that so Ron's not going to feel alone here. I guess our time, Bob, goes back about 9 years now to 1987 when Eddy became part of the larger Weston family. We have communicated a lot over those 9 years, and certainly with the cash management and treasury, and I know Michelle's here, and she appreciates the good work you've done for us. 9 years is certainly a lot shorter time than you have put in here at Eddy.
You can't reconcile the bank account.
She has until April 13th to get it right, Bob.
April 13th.
Anyway, 9 years is a lot less time, but certainly it's to us it's no less significant, and your contribution to us was very important. And so I bring greetings from Weston's corporate office in Toronto, all the folks, John Laurie, Terry Wardrop, Earl Pierce, many others that don't come to mind right now. And we just wanted to leave you with a little gift or a token of our appreciation for your involvement with us. And if you'd like to come up and take it and enjoy it, hopefully it'll be a proud part of your mantelpiece in your nice home. Thank you. You can open it if you want, certainly.
Do I break the ribbon, Peg?
Is it ticking?
Whoop!
No, they let us across the border with it, Lionel.
You got to cross the border. Look at that. A real swinger. Look at that. Look at, I can't read. It's too much. Thanks, guys. Maybe another pair of those small trunks to wear in the Caymans. What do you think, Phyllis? Oh, it's heavy. Beautiful. Thank you. Polar bears.
Bob, there's a little base with that and a little plaque again from our office. And if you don't like the base, you can always change it.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Now Alan Kutcher will tell us a little bit about Bob's career and also make a presentation.
Could you hurry? I have to go to the restroom.
They wanted me to start the serious part of the program to talk about Bob's employment history with us. And I've probably known Bob as long as most people here. Only that I knew Bob before he started at the paper mill. I actually worked for his father in the insurance agency, which was then the local Secretary of State's office. And years ago, all of our license plates used to expire, I think it was March 1st was the date. So it'd be lined up for a mile around his dad's office there to get our plates. I met Bob because it was the first time in my life that I found out how politics would work. If you knocked on the back door and you were a Democrat, you would get in and get your plates without waiting in line. And that's when I first met Bob some 40 years ago. And I'll never remember the first thing he said to me when I met him there with his dad, George. It was something like, nice to meet you. You know, I only have 9,100 days to go until I retire. When I looked at Bob's employment application, I learned a number of things about him. Bob, you probably don't even remember filling the thing out. Yeah, you wrote this. First, I found out that Bob was into drugs when he got out of high school. I did not know that for 2 years he was into drugs. He was a druggist or a pharmacist apprentice. I did not know that when you first got out of high school. Prescription Store Incorporated at 602 Water Street, which is a vacant field now down there. I did not know that. He did know somebody when he applied for a job at the paper mill, a guy by the name of Cliff Richmond. And I'd always thought that Cliff was his father-in-law, and that's why he got the job. And it wasn't until I looked at the record that I found out that that was not true. Because in Bob's personnel file, and I should have brought a copy and I forgot to, was this note from Cliff Richmond to George Duran, Bob's dad. And it said, "We've got to hire this kid. He promised to marry my daughter if we would." There was at least a couple of performance appraisals that I did bring Bob from your first 90 days that you worked for the paper company. And I chuckled when I read them, only in that the person that signed them some 35 years ago is still one of our active employees who did the evaluation for you. Some guy by the name of Dale Norris signed this form. Dale probably doesn't even remember this, and I will give you these. And I did pick out a couple of items on here. And this is after you had worked for the first 30 days. We talked about judgment, and what Dale wrote down about you is that sooner or later, he's going to learn to utilize other people's experiences and not know so much. He talks about initiative, and he said, solos all the time. He talked about quality of work, quantity of work, has absorbed and accepted full responsibility for full-time work, and considering his background, he's quite impressive. And I don't know what that means. It may have referred to drugs, I'm not really sure. And then on personal qualities, I kid you not, it says, despite obvious handicaps, he's all right. Dale might want to explain that to us. On the last one they did, on May 31st, 1961, that Dale put together, end of the 90-day trial period, the very last comment on it is that 3 months was not enough to evaluate him, but I really think he might do all right in the long run. Could not believe that when I went back. Those of you who knew Cliff Richmond, I know Vi is here, most of us had the privilege of being hired by Cliff. And Bob and Ralph and all of us, I think we came into a training program 100 years ago when we started at the mill. And I think when Bob's early assignments, in fact, was in the carbon plant, working for Jerry, where a lot of us started out doing production planning, I think, out there and messing things up with Bob Frazier, trying to learn that system that none of us ever did understand out there.
Bob Frazier always liked him because Bob said to me, "Don't give me in those big heavy guys. Give me these tall, skinny guys who run fast."
Most of you may not know that Bob actually worked for the paper mill twice. And he did spend one summer working for us as a casual employee, doing cleanup work in 1955, right after high school. Spent the summer working for George Badges. There was a comment on your clearance form, and I won't read it to you, but I'm surprised that you came back in 1961 after what I had did. Bob did start with us in March of 1961. Started at a grand salary of $100 a week back then in the accounting department, accounting trainee, and that's what they called all of us young bucks that were hired back in those days. I'm one of the few that Cliff did not get a chance to hire. I know that with Ralph and Bob and with Junior Cogman and Herb Mullen, Herb didn't make it today, a number of us that came through Cliff, they had that honor. I didn't. Cliff was off with a heart attack when I hired in about 5 years after Bob had started. And I will never forget Cliff's words to me when he came back to work and he got a chance to work with me for a little while. And I don't know if it was a difference in politics or what, but his comment to me was, it was a good thing I was off sick when they hired you, because we sure didn't need any more smart asses around here. So Cliff never did pull his punches, you know. Appreciated that all the years. Well, Bob started as a trainee. 1963 went into as an assistant general accountant. Really all that meant is he spent a couple of years filling vacations and illnesses. All of us worked all over the mill, probably the best opportunity we ever had, filling for a timekeeper that was out in maintenance. Out there, a guy by the name of Harvey Sweet, one of our more senior retirees right now. And then we used to run a multilith machine, a guy by the name of Stu Crane. We worked in the accounting department with a guy by the name of Walt Fullwood. Walt was a typical accountant in those days because he had the visor and the quill pen. I can remember when I first came in with him. In 1966, there was a job change from assistant general accountant to data processing coordinator, and I did not know until I looked at the record that Bob had started our first data processing department there. So we can blame a lot of this on you, that we've been blaming on Dale all these years. I did not know that. 1970, became the assistant controller. Same year that he completed his degree at Wayne State. I commuted back and forth for a number of years, taking night school, and completed his degree down there. In 1972, became assistant corporate secretary. In 1975, became secretary. And in 1984, became manager of credit and insurance. Attended Portland High School, junior college here in town, as it was called at that time, and as I mentioned, Wayne State. I think all of us have appreciated Bob's humor over the years. None of us could ever outdo his jokes. Some of us are wisecrackers. We can make a smart remark. None of us can tell the jokes the way that Bob could. I did attempt last night. I'm trying to learn a computer, so I got into the internet and got on the joke thing last night. And I did write down some jokes, and after I read them, I decided that the only person I could tell any of these to was Carol. So I'm going to take that. So I'm going to save these for tomorrow, I think. I do have a small token of appreciation, Bob, if I can get you to come.
Will somebody tie me a tie?
Yeah, I wish you got a collar with that. Bob, we appreciate that.
Like the paper. There's Wagner. Look at that 4 iron he's got. Every time I play golf in a thunderstorm now, or lightning storm, I raise a 2 iron over my head. Somebody told me one time not even God could hit a 2 iron. Thank you very much.
That's right. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Next is Dale Hoy. Pardon? We have several more yet before we're going to let you out of here.
You got a rubber band.
Bob, on the way to getting that countdown to 0, you're going to pass 35 years of service. And so I have something that you're entitled to collect.
Well, thank you.
And service pin. Thanks a lot for these years.
Dick was late to lunch, so we're not going to let him take up too much of our time up here. Dick's next. Dick is our mill manager, and typically not late to lunch.
Obviously, Sharon and I were a little off schedule today. It really is catching, Mike. We apologize. 35 years, Robert. Long time. And I've had the pleasure to know Bob for 7 now. And I think that Bob, or Ralph, I'm sorry, probably put it best when he said friend. And I don't know of anybody that I know in the mill that doesn't consider Bob a friend. And certainly, he's an inspiration to all of us with his humor, with his positive outlook. And I know that I'm going to miss him both personally and professionally. Fortunately, though, I know that I'm going to have a chance to see him on the golf course. And I must say that Bob is one of the few guys in the mill, anyhow, they can out negotiate me and win money at golf. The negotiation part. So the good things are happening to Bob Andrews are richly deserved. I know Bob is really looking forward to retirement. We wish him well. We're going to miss you, Bob, seriously, but its time has come. So if you would, I've got a little memento for you. Thanks for all you've done.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I don't want to break any of these ribs. That was a short speech that just one should. Going to get me to the men's room eventually. I know. At my age, you got to get there once in a while.
That's your schedule.
Wow. This box reminds me of a bad joke. I might tell it. Look at that. The stroke keeper. No, it's a watch. Thank you very much.
Okay, great.
Really. I can't read the fine print.
It says other side up.
Not yet. Sounds like we have some of the grandchildren that would like to say a few words. Kristen? Taylor? Who else? Come on up, Kristen. See?
My grandpa, he said lots of funny jokes, and I laughed because they were really funny. And sometimes, me and my grandpa and Brian and Kyle and Kristen, he called us sometimes girls.
I'd be careful what you say to him, Bob. He's going to be that tall one of these days. Next is Tina Barton. She's got a gift for Bob from the employees.
Well, I'm walking all the way up here, and I'm all the way back there. I've worked with Bob probably for about the last 8 years. This is going to be really hard. I can't do it. Bob?
Thinking I go to the men's room? I'm afraid to turn around right now. I guess I better read it. We are pleased in joining in celebrating Bob Andrews' retirement. Bob is a long friend.
Bob is a longtime friend, and if my somewhat overtaxed memory serves me well, he spent some of his early days in the carbon plant with Bob Frazier and I. Certainly we remember Bob as being
On his feet.
and quick of mind. Frazier didn't want any slow guys. Bob more than filled the bill. Jerry, Gino. Incidentally, Bob's father-in-law hired me in May 1946.
Thanks, Jerry.
Appreciate it very much. I remember the story, pardon me for taking some time here. When I first went to the work in the carbon plant, I happened to go in the men's room one day. And I looked over at the guy next to me at the urinal, and I couldn't help but notice that a certain part of him was quite white. And I said, all this time, Joe Chevalier, I said, I thought you were a black man. He says, no, I'm just a ink maker on my honeymoon. The card says, best wishes from all of us as you retire. It's signed all over the place. May your retirement open up a whole new world for you, a world of pleasant happenings and things you like to do, a world of bright new interests and friendships by the score, and more deep down commitment than you'd ever have before. And it's just signed by all of you. God bless you all. Thanks. Here's to Joe Chevalier.
You put your lock on the men's room.
That urinal is sounding pretty good right now. Thank you. 35 years of service. That's all you want to talk. I'll finally be able to see the ladies' room at the ceremony. Please remain seated. We'll be with you in a minute. Oh, thank you. I think there's a telescope in here someplace. Yeah, there is. Look at that. Man, I'll be able to find my ball anyway now. Thank you. How to put it together. This end up. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to say? To Bob, about Bob, for Bob? I've got one more story. What was it, Bob? 2 summers ago, you were at Pebble Beach? 2 summers ago? A little known fact that there's a nudist beach adjacent to number 8's fairway. And Bob ends up with one of his notorious shanks, and obviously the ball goes right over to the beach. Off Bob goes clambering down the cliff. The other golfers don't see Bob again for about 45 minutes. He's, until they see him climbing back up the cliff farther down the beach crying, "Hallelujah!" His eyes are bulging, his clothes are half ripped off. He's got this crazed smile. He finally says, "I declare it a lost ball, and I'm playing that hole again." We'd now like to have some words from Bob. Come on up, Bob.
Appreciate it. This guy can only putt. We'd have won the tournament a couple of years ago, but that's the way it is. Glad to have all of you here tonight. And is this thing on? Do I need it on?
We can hear you.
But I was sitting at the desk the other day, waiting for Ronnie to come in so I could train him some more. There's a case where I got more time in the men's room and he's got in the company. And I was working away furiously at my computer there because Dale was going to walk by any minute. And I just thought about a few names in my past. And it's hard to believe that when I came there 35 years ago that I was just a little toad in that puddle and looking up to all these people. And just let me mention a few names. And a lot of you here will remember these souls, and some of them are still with us, some of them have gone on to better things. Walt Fullwood, you remember that, Ralph? Louis Sturdivant, Eddie Warren, George Dixon, what a golfer that guy was. Taught me a lot of things. Never could teach me how to bowl. Never taught me how to play golf either. A great gentleman, and my father-in-law, Cliff Richmond, Jeff Pike, Clara Gleason. How many of you remember Clara? Filled out the invoice register with a pen and ink. If you made a mistake, you didn't erase it, you drew a line through it, otherwise Walt Fullwood gave you all Billy hell. Bruce McFarland, another real gentleman, Joe Houlihan, who was like a grandfather. Frank Davis, Ed Jansen, Ed Donovan, Carl Rodwitz, Johnny Mays, without his fingers, Joe Randolph, Madeline and Stu Crane, Sandy Fusey, Tom Bowden, Don Porter, Larry Rakers. Ralph, you didn't remember that name. I mentioned it to you the other day. My mentor, Dick Smeltzer, my good friend, and he's here today, bless his soul, Bob Duran, my old classmate, class of 52. Remember that, Robert? The old senior play, Green Acres. Boy. Bob used to call his car the Mayflower in high school. I asked him that one day. He said, well, a lot of Puritans came across with it. Still funny, isn't it? Jimmy Monroe, Russ Frazier. I never forget when I was roll custom over there the first time I went to work. Down below number 2 machine, and there was an elevator there, and you had to bring the broke carts over to the elevator and pull on the chain to get the elevator to go up. I reached up on the chain and there was a rat tied on the chain. Thanks to Russ Frazier. Eddie Pratt. Claire Cogley. Claire's whole job was opening the mail, endorsing the checks, and making out the deposit. What do we do now, Tina? We don't even get any checks. We're in business. Ed Griss. Herb Mullen. Fred Fair. My good pal Jerry Dino. Gladys and Orrin Avery. Gladys said the computer will never replace the 4 people in the payroll department. I remember that. Tom Bowden said the same thing. Helen Klump. Remember Helen? Did the timesheets on the old addressograph every week. Whole day's job just to do the timesheets. How long does it take us, Dale?
5 minutes.
Progress. Bill Gilbert, still with us? George Badges. Whatever he said on that sheet, I don't know. Another good friend, Jim Wynn. Always good for a laugh, always took my jokes or was always looking for one. Jack Grunwald, a fellow I really looked up to, gave me a sense of direction when I needed it. Gary Burwell, a little short fella that ran around looking in everybody's files and whatever. Roy Roof, a real gentleman. Good both of us when you're out. And he's been some tragedies in his life just like I have. Some very special people in my life. Kind of like Betty. My parents. Thank God for my kids. Susan, Bob, Catherine, Tom. All my grandkids. I love them all. My mother-in-law, my Richmond, that gave me the best gift I ever had. My significant other, Peggy, who's changed my life, made it worthwhile again. We're looking on to better things. Good times. Some very special friends. Martin and Mel Kells, they're my parents to me. Armin Phyllis Creek. All of you in some way have touched my life, whether it be good or bad. I want to thank all of you for putting up with my bad jokes and antics. I apologize, Carol, I'll change the color of my joke. I was always kind of afraid of sexual harassment. I got away with it.
Yeah, the sales department grades it, we don't report it. We never got a passing grade yet.
It's sure been a fun trip for the most part. Many of you were there when I needed a shoulder to lean on, and I'll never be able to thank you for all your support. The mill has been good to me and my family. Without encouragement from my mentor, Dick Smeltzer, and the company education program, I probably would have never completed my college degree. Without my affiliation with the mill, I never would have had the opportunity to play Pebble Beach, let alone play with Chichi Rodriguez. He told me when he saw my swing, he said, that's the worst swing I've ever seen. I looked over and I saw the shirt he had on, and it said Toyota on it. His golf bag said Toyota on it. I said, Chi-Chi, I said, do you realize that General Motors and or Chevrolet and Toyota have just gone together to build a car together? He said, no. He said, I haven't heard about that. I said, yeah, they're got a joint venture going. He said, they picked out the name of it. He said, well, what's that? He says, they're going to call it a toilet. Anyway, what a thrill that trip was, and I have to thank Dale for letting me go and charging a bit of it off to the company, but that was just a treasure in my lifetime. Never again will I get to play such magnificent courses and with such great people. I'll never forget that California trip, I'll tell you. Right now I'm looking forward in about 20 days. I don't have my computer here. First thing that comes up in the morning when I turn on my computer is how many days left at the Cayman Islands, how many days left to work, how many days left till it's all over. And Peggy and I are looking forward to our departure for the Cayman Islands on the 13th of April with Marvin Phyllis down to that sandy beach. Nothing but bathing suits if you want to. Nothing else. Looking forward to the golf season, getting some more money out of Dick Wagner. And I'm looking forward to working in the real estate business. I've got a license now. I'm going to try that venture. More especially, I'm looking forward to continuing my apprenticeship time in Peggy's Flower Shop. The new motto is, buy a house, get a flower. Well, my thanks to all of you for coming. I can't thank you enough. Thanks for the many nice gifts. God bless you all. Thank you.
Well, on behalf of Eddy, thanks for everyone being here today. We have the place till 4. Hang around, mill about, talk to Bob. Thanks. It's been a great.
You have to see me in the bedroom.